irritating or annoying, I guess. Yeah. Their audience goes in other people's chats and shits on you. Yeah, because they do a lot from their Discord. The one that Hassan always says he's not in or has no control over. To be fair, the YouTube community is primed to hate Hassan. My YouTube community? If my YouTube community is primed to hate people, it's usually because people are doing stuff that I feel like I'm demonstrating is like pretty wrong. One thing that I do better than almost anybody else online, and it's irritating that nobody else can even fathom doing this, is I'll give people credit when they do something that I agree with. I feel like, yes, I guess I don't expect it in return, I guess, because it'll never happen. But then my audience is also conditioned so that I have to do that as well, because then if I don't give somebody credit for something, then my audience like loses their shit. Meanwhile, you know, other communities are unhinged. It's kind of cool that Dr. K doesn't appear to be influenced by some of those extreme factors of this audience. I think Dr. K seems to be a pretty strong like individual. Like he doesn't necessarily bow to whatever the public opinions are on whatever thing. But he's also like kind of isolated from that career-wise as well. It's not like he doesn't need to give an opinion on Israel-Palestine as like a therapy or life coach or mental health talking person. I don't know what you would call his role, but yeah. What's the main reason why the WL community hates Hassan? Didn't Hassan fight with some WL people? I don't remember. The WL community is kind of like their own thing, though. Are they... How much of a representation do they have on Twitch right now? I'm not actually sure. You said you wanted to become more aligned with Praxi or solution generating a few months back instead of just being a deconstructionist. Is that still true? Maybe. I'm not as sure anymore. We'll see after this election. I don't actually know right now. Yeah, I don't know. I think right now my big interests are like studying and debate. Debate, obviously, I could do really well. Studying, I'm able to do really well. In terms of like the real life political shit, I'm not. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like it's too thankless at the moment, and it's a huge investment of time. It's a huge investment of money. It's a huge investment of community goodwill. And I get almost nothing in return, and then the participation from other people is like lackluster at best. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But like I said, I'm probably going to spend the next like 2 or 3 days, yeah, bouncing ideas around in my brain. We'll find out. You never feel like you do the web thing, but with social groups, like you web the opinions of people like Ludwig, Slime, QTC, on you to their friendship with Hassan, whereas it feels like we can point to a series of direct interactions you've had that would equivalently achieve the distaste? No, everything originated from other people. Slime, I still don't know who that is, other than like Ludwig's like 4th generic white friend. I have no idea who the Slime guy actually is. For Ludwig has no... I don't think Ludwig has any reason to not like me ever. I don't... We've fought a little bit in the past, but it's usually after he makes like an unhinged, out-of-pocket, like wild claim about me. But I know where the claims come from. They're all Hassan talking points. And then Cutie Cinderella and I started to not get along a ton when she would side with Caseytron. For some reason, there are a lot of women that have this problem. You call it being a girl's girl, but the more literal translation is basically any time you have to evaluate the actions of a person. If that person is also a woman, your IQ drops like 25 points. So if you take somebody like Cutie Cinderella, who's ordinarily, probably like an 85 IQ individual, and then she has to evaluate something relating to another woman, it drops to 70 or lower. And then all of a sudden, it's just like the most retarded shit you've ever seen in your entire life. And everybody does this online. Like a girl will come out and say some shit, and it's like, yesterday was so traumatic for me. I had to slice my boyfriend's dick off, and I tortured him, and I was crying so much the entire time. I was murdering him because it was so hard, because 10 years ago, I think he slapped my ass before we were dating. And it's like, oh, liked by Pokemon, liked by like every single girl streamer, because yeah, it's an annoying phenomenon. But it happened when they all attacked Asmongold and Gistigal as well. Yeah. What do you think about the idea that you fell off as a rhetorician over the past 5 years? I don't know what like when people say things to attack me, like if it's clearly not true. I don't know if you understand. All you're doing is like making me feel better. Like those are the few, like when people come in, it's like, oh, this guy's like falling off. Like every single year as my career and my income and my influence continue to grow and grow and grow. And it's like, do you think that, like, if for an insult to work, there has to be like at least like some element of truth to it. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, I feel really bad as I've had probably more mainstreamish conversations this year than I probably have in the last like 5 years of my career combined. Yes, I'm definitely feeling the effects of my failing rhetoric and everything, for sure, dude. Is there even any political streamer ever that's had close to the same amount of mainstream appearances at OS Destiny? Probably. We just don't interact with them as much. Like, David Pacman has probably talked to more people mainstream, I would imagine. The Young Turks probably have, right? I'm sure there are other people that we just don't interact with. Like, there's whole, like, podcasts out there, like Pod Save American shit. Like, you've got this whole other, like, apparatus of stuff out there that we don't interact with at all, so it's harder to see it, yeah. You should focus on having more positive interactions with other people and on your subreddit. Yeah, probably. No, that is the way to go. That's just, it's really hard. That's really hard to do. But that's probably what I'm going to spend the next like 2 to 4 days thinking about, I think. I'll figure out how I want to orient myself. Why does it bother you now? Is it cumulative or something put you over the edge? This happens every year. I think I get like too irritated dealing with retards, and then I break for a day or two, and then I come back. We'll figure it out. Be on my way back. The particular conflict, the Israel-Palestine stuff, though, definitely brain broke me. I don't know what the thing we'll get into next after this is, but if it's anything like this, man, I might become an anti-college person. I don't think there will ever be a moment in my life as shocking as that Finkelstein debate, except for maybe the reaction to it. Those two events, I think, will be forever unfathomable in my mind. That I could spend 6 months like reading on some shit, not even as well structured or as organized as I could, and like outside of any structured learning environment, and then sit across the table from some fucking retard that's been studying it for 4 decades, and he has nothing to say to me. And the only point of substance he wants to argue with me on, the mens rea shit, not only was he wrong on that, like an actual, I'm lucky that like the ex-president of the ICJ actually came out.
Would it be fair to say, and I'm no lawyer, and many people watching and listening will not be lawyers, but would it be fair to say that the key point that you made your initial order and ruling upon was whether or not there was a plausible case that should be taken on by the court of genocide in the case of Israel's actions in Gaza after October 7, and you quite clearly decided that there was a plausible case. Is it right to say that's at the heart of what you decided?
You know, I'm glad I have a chance to address that, because the court test for deciding whether to impose measures uses the idea of plausibility, but the test is the plausibility of the rights that are asserted by the applicant, in this case, South Africa. So the court decided that the Palestinians had a plausible right to be protected from genocide, and that South Africa had the right to present that claim in the court. It then looked at the facts as well, but it did not decide, and this is something where I'm correcting what's often said in the media, it didn't decide that the claim of genocide was plausible. It did emphasize in the order that there was a risk of irreparable harm to the Palestinian right to be protected from genocide. But the shorthand that often appears, which is that there's a plausible case of genocide, isn't what the court decided.
Can even further clarify those genocide statements. Like, yeah, Jesus, that's like unbelievable to me. Everything relating to and revolving around that conflict, holy shit. I thought vaccines and coronavirus were bad. My fucking God. I think we should temporarily ban Hassan posting on the subreddit as an experiment to see if the other community is willing to disengage with you and stop spreading lies. No, because it's easy. You have to think of where the incentives are. Sometimes banning commentary about people. Let's see. I understand all of this. I've been in these communities, swimming through them long enough to know like how it works. The reason why banning comments about people works is because what'll happen is this is a really common interaction online. One community or one person will say something, and then this thing will get reported in another community, and then they'll say something, and then it gets reported over here, and then you end up in this like really nasty back and forth where like groups of people can end up going back and forth about each other forever, right? And the social reinforcement here is the idea that like, oh my God, he said this and it got posted and we saw it and now we're reacting to this, and then the reaction of this is causing us to do this action, right? The problem with the Hassan stuff though is Hassan is not getting things to react from me about people posting about him in my community. He's the social validation and credit he's getting is from me participating in certain political conversations. It's the fact that like Destiny is pro-genocide or Destiny is blah 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 or blah blah. Like that's where a lot of the incentive structure for him to react to me comes from. Is the mass unban still coming? Maybe. It should be within a few days or else Forethought is fired. I don't know why. He told me he had this figured out like a week or two ago, but maybe I'll just figure out how to do that as well. What do you think about Hassan posting that implicated assassination tweet, and should he be banned on Twitch for it? Listen, no. I mean, listen, there are no wrong targets, or there are no wrong strategies, only wrong targets, right? Or wrong tactics, wrong targets, something like that. Remember, that's what illiberal people do. Is this your Vosh style fortress art? No, I'm not fortressing. I'm never making penetrations into these communities anyway, so. I think people just remember you for more negative and breaking down stuff than positive stuff, so maybe they're primed to hate you. More positive interactions, like with Dr. Kane, XQC seems like a good way. You also need people who signal boost you like these people. Yeah, maybe, but the issue is that they can't do it too much because the social reaction to them might be really negative. But also, most of the reaction at this point to me is like, I don't want to say, no, I will say, it's basically fabricated. Yeah, it's stuff that like other people, like, people will write like, oh, Destiny, when you do this, this is why people don't like you. And then I'll look at Hassan's stream and he's watching like a 5-minute TikTok compilation of like 100 statements I've made over the past like 7 months with like 3 words cut from each thing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. Incentives for clipping should be a thing. Every response tweet about you clearing up lies gets $20 PayPal. Yeah, I don't have the money for that one, Chief. I'm a bit behind the VOD, but there's a lot of clips of Asmongold. He seems like he likes you. Yeah, Asmongold is pretty chill. But I think his community mainly likes me when it's like fighting with lefties or like on freedom of speech stuff. I don't know how politically aligned to be. But Asmongold himself is like pretty chill. But he's also like pretty independent. Like he doesn't like swim with any big communities either. Same thing with XQC, I think. Like those two people. So it's nice that they're generally pretty fair, but it doesn't benefit me much. It's not like it doesn't help me with anything else. Like those communities are pretty unique to themselves, yeah. I think there are more people like NM, or Nick, basically, in the OTK community that like you but are afraid to speak up because of social pressure. Possibly. But I don't know. You going on Piers Morgan anytime again soon? Maybe, we'll see. Whenever they ask me, I usually show up. Finkelstein's disagreement with Benny Morris was even horrible, though, because he just misquoted the man's book at him and asked what he meant by the words Finkelstein made up. No, I know, yeah. The fact that some people saw that and thought that it was, like, good disagreement. Like, remember when Finkelstein owned Benny Morris by doing the one-sentence quote